Hello, beautiful bright beings, and happy Aries solar eclipse. Y'all, it has been eclipse season, and boy, does it feel like it. I know it has for me. There's also so much else swirling in our collective that has been present for months, years, and this is a really big time. There's so much fire in the air, and I mean that in like everything seems to be going into Aries. Today, we literally have an Aries new moon and eclipse. And tomorrow, Neptune moves into Aries. Again, preface, I'm no astrologer. I just have a deep love and respect and relationship to it. But I do want to speak to this because this is huge. Neptune is moving into Aries, which Neptune is an outer planet along with Pluto and Uranus, I believe. So it's not a closer personal planet. And why that's relative is because outer planets are further away, so they take longer to move. So the last time Neptune changed signs, which it's in Pisces, it's about to move into Aries, was 14 years ago. So what were you doing in 2011? What was happening there? That's when Neptune moved into Pisces, which is all Pisces. I'm a Piscean queen, is all dreamy, feels like deep spirituality, which is also Neptune. Neptune's like, I think of Neptune being spiritual, collective. And so these past like 14 years have been this releasing like, I don't want to say structures, but borders. Like if you think about it, we've become more globalized in how we're moving, whether it's with the tech world, the media, and it's been kind of this like ambiguous like feeling. I mean, Pisces, I know from my own personal experience, is not very good with structure, is really good about being vague and open and big and dreamy and all the feels, whereas Aries, and which Pisces, by the way, is the end of the zodiac. So we're literally going through what astrologers call the zodiac birth canal. We're dying out from the final 12th sign of Pisces into Aries, which is a fire sign. It is the I am sign. And what's really powerful that I was just reading about is that, think about it, since Neptune is moving into Aries, we're going to be at 0 degrees, which is like the beginning of all beginnings of all beginnings. The last time this happened was 165 years ago, which was during the Civil War and so many other things. So there's a lot of like possibility for like lots of friction, fire, because Aries is all about the individual. What I'm picking up from all the astrologers that I follow, that this is the time to really get clear on the sovereignty of who you are. What are you here to do? What are you here to say? And how can you more deeply connect to your soul's purpose to share yourself, your what I call medicine? When we are aligned in our full frequency of purpose, we are medicine for the world. You are wonderful and beautiful just as you are. It's when we get away from that and into a state of dissonance, disconnection from the truth of who we are, what we want to do, what our, again, I keep saying soul purpose is when things go icky and bad. And so this ingress, this change is a huge invitation for like, who are you and what ways can you really step into owning that? People are talking about how we're going to see people really taking more ownership of like their territories, their areas, borders, that big conglomerates, whether it's like, the movie industry, are going to skim down, and it's going to be much more about individualized expression, much more localized movements, which gets me really excited. I think the invitation is to think of moving back to a way of being that we're supposed to be, which is in the sense of more community action by being in connection with who we are individually, if that makes sense. I hope that made sense. So anywho, big stuff. So I do want to name a few things that might support you during this, even though it's a new moon, and new moons are always the time to seed an intention. I think it's really important to name that if you have not let go of, had some kind of like little ritual of release, journaling about it, talking to friends about it, of ways and patterns that are not true to you, they're detrimental to you. It could be so many things. It could be something that happens in your daily life. It could be like thought patterns, rhetoric that you have with yourself. whatever you're doing and it's keeping you from really embracing the true whole I am, it's time to let that go. So you could have a ritual of release, even though that's traditionally for like full moons. You got to let something go so you can make space for something new. So if you haven't intentionally done that, this is your invitation to do that. And you can do that in so many ways. Like I said, you could journal about it. You could literally write something on a paper and release it to the ocean, to the fire, whatever. And then seed some powerful new intentions about ways that you can support yourself in being the whole version of you. Because listen, I've been talking about this a lot on my personal account. It is so important when the external is getting all catawonky, whether it has to do with the stars and the planets or what's happening within our governmental system. It is so important for us to be sturdy and anchored in who we are. When we are anchored in that through practices of ritual and rest, we are empowered through being resilient and connected to who we are, why we are here, and how we maintain the course, right? And that is so important. I think we're getting to this point where like, we are all spiritual beings, whether you know it or want to admit it or not. And it's a time for us to be really connected to that in ourselves, for that to be the way shower within ourselves, and to not get caught up on entities or individuals and doing it the way that they do it, if that makes sense. Like when it comes to like authority figures and someone who's like, I've got it all figured out, it's probably not true. They are just human, just like we are. And this is a great time to remember, by the way, that we are all human, that we are all moving as best as we can, and to offer each other, including ourselves, that grace, the aspect that, you know, I think it'd be helpful for us to move away from good and bad and start to approach things more from an open scale, if that makes sense. So a lot of invitations. Again, I'm not an astrologer, just have a huge passion for it. So you can find some great astrologers. Dr. Michael Lennox is wonderful. Virginia Rosenberg is wonderful. I'm sure a lot of people know Chani. Just find an astrologer if you're interested in this and you're feeling these vibes. That is like, you know, look into it. Find an astrologer that can support you and guide you during these times. And then when it comes to any kind of practices like energetic hygiene or alignment practices, for me, my yogic practice of being on the mat has been more important than ever, a daily meditation practice and grounding. I've been walking so much. So I have a lot of vata, which is air in me. So if you know you have a lot of air in your astrological chart, or you know what your Ayurvedic is, tune into that and offer yourself counterbalancing practices. I'd say right now, you know, because Aries, there's a lot of fire in the air, anything that you can do to ground, even like any kind of like water rituals, like a bath is great. Bath actually helps the body release oxytocin, which helps you relax and feel good and feel connected. So maybe a bath ritual. Yeah, I can offer more of those in another space, but yeah, having grounding practices of slowing down, going inward, connecting is so important. So now that I've shared that whole spiel, we're going to just tune in. I'm going to the cards. I haven't done this in a while, at least not for like the general public, but I just really want to tune in to like universe and spirit and say, okay, for this week, what is a sense of reminder that we could all use as we navigate what is like crazy, or I shouldn't say crazy, wild eclipse season and other things happening in the world. What is the reminder we need in this moment and ways that we can tune in, right? So tuning into that. Ooh, let's see. The sun. Oh my gosh. What? Okay. I feel like there's plenty of fire and sun. But what comes up for me when I see this card, and by the way, I love this deck. This is from Dreamy Moons. We sell it here in the shop. It's independently printed. Little plug there. The sun. The first word I think of with the sun is like vitality. And what's really coming up for me is if you look, this beautiful unicorn and the little kid on the unicorn is like, remember not to take all of this too seriously. When shite is really intense and overwhelming, sometimes that's the most important times to remember to slow down, not just to rest, but to play. And to remember what brings us vitality in life and right? And to remember, this is also usually a huge invitation for you to go into nature. And that's always where I feel reoriented. So as we're going through these intense times, some astrologers say on eclipse day, stay inside, don't do rituals. Tune into what you want and what your body needs. tune into your own inner knowing. Tune into your own inner central sun, which is the heart center of what you need to navigate these times, what supports the wholest, highest, widest you. And know that because we are nature, it's most likely some time in nature, a walk in nature, which will also be grounding, and to maybe offer yourself a little playful activity to remember, we are here to just simply be the truest version of ourselves. We are here to play. We are here to create. We are not here to do the constant grind, 9 to 5, stress, stress, stress. We are here to be in connection with ourselves and others and to produce beautiful life, sustenance. What do I want to say? Sustainability here on earth. So how can we tune into practices that connect us to our inner sun, our vitality, that sustain us and keep us anchored in the truth of who we are as we navigate crazy, Aries eclipse season? Okay, I think that's all for now. That was pretty long. If you made it through, thanks for tuning in. And I'm sending so much heart, love, and prayers to each and every one of you.